Hey, how's it going? My name is Daniel Calderon and welcome back to Corner Talks. Loving yourself. Something we find very challenging, especially in today's society. We're constantly being bombarded by people's posts, pictures, updates on their lives, and we're always thinking the grass is greener on the other side. We always think that their life is better than ours. And it takes away from loving ourselves. It takes away from really valuing who we are as people. And not only just social media being a problem, but the fact that we're raised without having that sense of pride, having that sense of permission to love ourselves. Because people and society have taught us it can be seen as pretentious, cocky, and conceited. You see, I believe in having a healthy balance. I believe that you should be confident, but you should also not step your bounds. You should not be arrogant. You should not be ignorant. You should not be closed-minded and think that you are the best, because there's always areas to improve. No one's perfect. Yet, I still believe that in your heart and in your mind, you should have that conviction that you can do the best because you are the best. And I know that sounds contradictory, but the reality is all we have is ourselves. And it's so imperative that we value ourselves. It's so imperative that we identify our worth. And too many times, including myself, we don't even give ourselves permission to love ourselves. We don't even give ourselves permission to see what we're capable of. And this impedes on our success because we're not able to, whether it's a career, a relationship, or something we want to pursue, identify if we're worthy, if we don't even have that mindset to begin with. Having said that, these are my ways on how you can love yourself. The best way to love yourself is by knowing yourself. And I believe this can be done when you write a list of your strengths, your goals, long-term, short-term, your talents, and you get a sense of who you are. I've done this as an exercise. I've journaled my thoughts, and you see on the page, you see all the things that you're capable of. You see all the things that you aspire, whether it's your filmmaking passion, your artwork skills, your dreams of becoming the next Quentin Tarantino. You see on the page all the things that come from you, come from the inside. And it reminds you, you say, okay, wow, those are the things that I really, excel in. And then you write down your goals. You want to be a filmmaker, like on a Quentin Tarantino level. You want to create stories. You want to inspire lives. You want to leave behind a legacy. And when you write down these thoughts on the page, it's a reflection. Better yet, it's a confrontation. A confrontation to see what really goes on in your mind, or what really you aspire to be, what motivates you. The reason why I love for you to make a list is because it's coming from a very deep, deep place in your heart. It's coming from a wish, from a desire, something that's not judged, that's not biased. It's between you and the page. And when you write it down, and you write it genuinely, you'll see how authentic it can be. And you start to understand, this is coming from some place. This is a sign. This is telling me that this is something that's on my mind. But as much as you should write down those strengths, talents, long-term goals, you should also be writing down your flaws, your fears, your insecurities. And the reason why I say this is because life isn't perfect and you're not perfect. And in order to love yourself, you need to identify with the positives in your life and the negatives. You need to identify with what brings you up and what brings you down. If you want to love yourself entirely, you have to accept yourself in your entirety. So this is something that I'm kind of guilty of. This is something that I tend to do. I believe we all do it. It's human nature, but I'm working on it. And I think it's only right that we don't compare ourselves with others. I'm starting to realize, especially during this pandemic, as I meditate, I journal, and I just do a lot of self-reflection, that it's more complex than you think when you compare yourself to someone else. It doesn't only hurt yourself, but you don't really see the full picture. You don't really see what's on the other side. So first off, comparing yourself with others doesn't do anything for you. It paralyzes you. It restricts you from advancing forward. It restricts you, it takes away your joy. It takes away all your accomplishments. You can't compare with anyone because everybody has such different and unique lives. No matter how much you want to achieve and be like a celebrity, for instance, like a DiCaprio, Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, Billie Eilish. You're never gonna have their exact life. You could aspire to their lifestyle, right? You could aspire to be Quentin Tarantino like me, but I'm never gonna have his exact life because we're all coming from a different place. We're all gonna be going through and experiencing a different place, and we're all gonna end at a different place, no matter how hard we try to live someone's life exactly. And social media can do all it wants to polish it, to make it curated, to think that they are living the same life, you know? All those basic girls, everyone's living the same life. All those basic guys, everyone's living their life. But if you really boil it down, if you really get to know them as a person, as people, they're all different from one another. They all got their own interests. They all got their own disinterests. They all got their own dreams and aspirations. So this is kind of interesting because I'm going through a bit of a back and forth. When I talk to people or just what I see on the internet, there's this notion going around like people are saying everything is your fault and take full responsibility of your life. And I fully, subscribe to that idea. I completely understand. But at the same time, there's a part of me that says you shouldn't live your life thinking that everything is your fault to the extent where you're hurting yourself. You should be forgiving yourself for the things that happen to you. Some things, whether it's a bad relationship or a bad career choice, it happens because of a mere life experience. You're living life. You take chances, you take risks, and sometimes they don't pan out the way you want. I'm a firm believer and also experienced in this, where whether it was a relationship, a career, or an opportunity, we all have our regrets. We all have our fears and things that got in the way. As much as you should accept what happened and what you went through, you should also forgive yourself for it. And I'm still grasping this notion because there are areas in my life where I haven't really truly forgiven myself. But I'm starting to realize that when they say forgive yourself, it's an act of letting go. And forgiving yourself begins with saying you're not perfect and truly believing that. We live in such a strange time. As creatives, as professionals, as just people, human beings, we believe we're gods. We believe we're perfect, or we want to be perfect. And we think that what we see on the internet, what we see in the newspaper, what we see on television, what we see anywhere really, people are living or leading better lives than us, and we need to be on their level. Yeah, some of them are probably doing great things. And some of them are achieving great successes, and I wish them all the best. But to really actively tell yourself, hey, this person is so much better than me, or so much more perfect. By whose judgment? Yours? Because you're not perfect, so how are you making that judgment if you don't even know what perfect is? What about myself when I think someone else is perfect? If I'm not perfect, how could I know if that person's perfect? Perfection is in the eyes of the beholder, just like with beauty, just like with talent, just like with anything. And we as human beings decide what's perfect. But as human beings, we can't collectively decide if something is perfect. And it's an interesting concept because even the most perfect movie, you'll always find someone that thinks it's crap. You'll always find someone that thinks it's corny or degrading or insulting or controversial. You'll never find someone to actually say it's a perfect movie. And that goes with life. That goes with your decisions. That goes with your relationships. People are always gonna have something to say. People are always gonna have comments to say. You're always gonna have comments about yourself. And this is what I mean by forgiving yourself, is by understanding that it's not a perfect world and you're not a perfect person. You're only human. And this one's probably gotta be my favorite one because it's so brutally honest and yet so true. It's so true. And people are still in denial. People want everyone to love them, but the reality is not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna like what you have to say. Not everybody's gonna like how you look. Everyone has their interests, like I said. Everyone has their disinterests. Everyone has their strengths, their weaknesses. You get all these probabilities of these outcomes of different personalities, and yet you want to believe everybody's gonna like you. There are people in your life right now that that don't like you, don't respect you maybe, don't think of you as the way your families and friends see you. But as you get older, you start to be real with yourself. And for me, for example, like I would be concerned or like confused and say, I don't understand. How could they not like me? Like I was a good person, or I was kind, or I was respectful. We're all, again, coming from different places. We're all coming from different experiences, life choices. And it's impossible for 7 billion people to all like one person on earth. It's impossible. And the sooner you accept this, the sooner you'll realize I love myself, because I'm okay being different. I'm okay being unique or special, quirky, odd, eccentric. I'm okay to be an outlier. I don't need to be liked by everybody. I need to be liked by the people that matter, or I need to be liked by the people that already like me. Like I was gonna say, think of the people that are in your life right now that actually love you and respect you, or are inspired by you. When you get that feeling, it's exhilarating. And if you're constantly chasing people, constantly telling people, trying to convince them like why they should like you, you're only hurting yourself. They're not getting affected, just you. Because every time you get that rejection, every time someone tells you I don't like this about you, or I don't like that, and you constantly want them, you push, of course you're not gonna love yourself, because you're allowing them to dictate your life. You're allowing them to dictate your perception of yourself. Thank you again, guys, for joining me on another Corner Talks. I really hope you enjoyed my discussion on ways in which you can love yourself. I think it's an important subject that's not discussed as much. I think it's dismissed and seen, like I said, as pretentious or conceited. But it's so important to love yourself in order to advance in your relationships, your career, your future. Once you accept who you are, once you're okay with who you are and you can live with yourself, you're able to cultivate, like I said, a relationship or a better career. And you're able to see much more opportunities and results instead of always thinking narrow-minded. If you agree or disagree to what I had to say, please leave your comments down below. I always love to see your thoughts. Also, if you enjoyed this discussion, please be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Take care, and we'll talk soon.